Russia in the late 1600s was a landlocked giant, asleep beneath a blanket of snow and tradition. It was a vast expanse of land, stretching from the frigid Arctic in the north to the steppes in the south, a place where time seemed to stand still. It was a nation ruled by ancient customs, a place where beards flowed like rivers and clothes billowed like sails. The people were deeply rooted in their ways, their lives governed by the rhythms of the seasons and the dictates of the Orthodox Church. Then came Peter, a Tsar unlike any other. Born in 1672, Peter Alexeyevich Romanov would grow to become a towering figure in Russian history, both literally and figuratively. He was a ruler who towered over his court, a bear of a man with a restless energy that crackled like lightning. His presence was commanding, his vision for Russia revolutionary. This is the story of how he dragged Russia, kicking and screaming, into the modern world. Under his rule, the old and the new would clash, and the face of Russia would be forever changed. Peter was not content with the old ways. He saw the stagnation and the isolation of his country and knew that change was necessary. He yearned for knowledge, for progress, for things he had only heard whispered about from the West. The tales of Western Europe, with its advancements in science, technology and culture, ignited a fire within him. While his boyars, the old nobility, clung to their traditions, Peter dreamt of ships and cannons, of science and reason. He envisioned a Russia that was not just a vast land, but a powerful nation, respected and feared by its neighbors. He dreamt of a Russia that could stand tall alongside the great powers of Europe, a nation that could hold its own in the arenas of diplomacy, trade, and warfare. And he wouldn't rest until he'd made that dream a reality. Peter was relentless in his pursuit of knowledge and progress, often working late into the night, poring over maps, books, and plans. Imagine a young Tsar, barely out of his teens, disguised as a commoner, roaming the shipyards of Holland. This was Peter's great embassy, a grand tour of Europe to learn and to forge alliances. This was no royal whim, but a burning desire to learn the art of shipbuilding firsthand. He immersed himself in the work, eager to understand every aspect of the craft. He hammered, he sawed, he blistered his hands alongside seasoned carpenters. Peter was not afraid to get his hands dirty, to toil and sweat for the knowledge he sought. He wanted to know every plank, every rope, every knot that held a ship together. This was Peter's way. He believed that to lead, one must first understand. He was a Tsar who learned not from gilded tutors, but from the calloused hands of craftsmen. He valued practical knowledge, the kind that could be applied to real-world problems. He was a ruler who sought knowledge not in dusty scrolls, but in the bustling workshops of a changing world. Peter's insatiable curiosity and hands-on approach would lay the foundation for a new Russia, and the knowledge he gained would change the fate of Russia forever. Under his reign, Russia would transform from a secluded medieval state into a burgeoning empire, poised to play a significant role on the world stage. Peter's journey to the West was more than just a grand tour. It was a transformative expedition that would shape the future of Russia. It was a pilgrimage to the heart of a civilization he yearned to understand, a quest for knowledge and innovation. He spent months in England and Holland, immersing himself in the world of shipyards and factories, of scientific instruments and military academies. He observed the intricacies of shipbuilding, the efficiency of factories, and the advancements in science and military tactics. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty, to learn alongside commoners. Peter worked in the Dutch shipyards, learning the craft of shipbuilding firsthand, understanding the labor and skill involved. He believed that true leadership came not from birthright, but from knowledge and experience. He sought to lead by example, showing that a ruler must understand the workings of his nation. He met with scientists and philosophers, absorbing ideas like a sponge. These intellectual gatherings were a source of inspiration, filling his mind with new concepts and possibilities. He studied the art of war, the principles of navigation, the secrets of clockmaking. Everything fascinated him. He was eager to learn and apply these new skills and knowledge to benefit his homeland. Everything held the potential to transform Russia. Peter saw the innovations of the West as tools to modernize and strengthen his own country. Peter returned to Russia a changed man. His experiences had broadened his horizons and filled him with a vision for a new Russia. He carried with him not just souvenirs and trinkets, but a head brimming with ideas and a heart on fire with ambition. His mind was a treasure trove of knowledge, and his determination was unshakable. He was determined to drag Russia into the light of modernity, even if it meant challenging centuries of tradition, and challenge he did. Peter's reforms touched every aspect of Russian life, from the military to the arts, from education to industry. His vision was clear, and his resolve was firm. Upon his return, Peter wasted no time in implementing his vision. His first target, the long flowing beards that were a symbol of Russian tradition. He decreed that all men, from nobleman to peasant, must shave their beards. This was met with outrage. The beard, they argued, was a gift from God, a sign of piety and manhood. But Peter would not be swayed. He saw the beards as a symbol of backwardness, a physical manifestation of Russia's clinging to the past. He imposed a beard tax, forcing those who refused to conform to pay a hefty price. He even took to shaving the beards of his courtiers himself, wielding a pair of oversized shears with a mischievous glint in his eye. It was a symbolic act, but a powerful one. The beard tax was just the beginning. Peter's reforms touched every aspect of Russian life, from clothing to education, from the calendar to the alphabet. Peter understood that to modernize Russia, he needed to break free from its landlocked prison. He needed a navy. And so, he set about building one, almost from scratch. He poured resources into constructing shipyards and training sailors. He employed foreign experts to teach his people the art of shipbuilding and naval warfare. He even traveled south to the Sea of Azov, where he personally supervised the construction of Russia's first major naval base. The creation of the Russian Navy was a monumental achievement, a testament to Peter's vision and determination. It was a navy built not on centuries of tradition, but on the sweat and toil of a nation determined to transform itself. With his new navy, Peter could challenge the dominance of Sweden in the Baltic Sea, opening up a vital trade route to the west. This challenge would lead to a long and bloody conflict, but it would also cement Russia's place as a major European power. Peter's vision extended beyond ships and armies. He was not just a military strategist, but a visionary who saw the potential for a new kind of Russia. He dreamt of a new capital city, a city that would embody his vision of a modern Russia. This city would be a beacon of progress, a symbol of his ambitious reforms. He found the perfect location on the banks of the Neva River, a desolate, swampy region at the edge of the Baltic Sea. This area, though inhospitable, was strategically positioned to open Russia to the west. It was a hostile environment, prone to flooding and freezing over in winter. The harsh natural conditions made it seem an unlikely place for a grand city. But Peter saw not obstacles, but opportunity. He believed that overcoming these challenges would demonstrate Russia's strength and resilience. He envisioned a city of grand avenues and imposing palaces, a city that would rival the splendor of Paris or Amsterdam. This vision was not just about architecture, but about creating a cultural and political hub. Tens of thousands of laborers were conscripted to drain the swamps, lay foundations, and erect buildings. These workers, many of whom were serfs, toiled under harsh conditions. It was a colossal undertaking, a testament to the ambition and ruthlessness of Peter's reign. The scale of the project was unprecedented, reflecting Peter's determination to see his vision realized. The construction of St. Petersburg came at a huge cost in human life. Thousands of laborers perished due to the grueling work and harsh conditions. Yet, within a few short years, a magnificent city began to rise from the marshes. The transformation of the landscape was nothing short of miraculous. St. Petersburg, Peter's window to the west, became a symbol of Russia's transformation. It was a city that showcased the new face of Russia, open to Western ideas and innovations. It was a city built on a foundation of ambition, a testament to the power of one man's will to reshape a nation. St. Petersburg stood as a lasting legacy of Peter the Great's vision and determination, a city that would forever change the course of Russian history. The Great Northern War, a sprawling conflict that pitted Russia against Sweden, would define Peter's reign. It was a clash of ambitions, of old versus new, of a rising power challenging an established empire. The early years of the war were disastrous for Russia. The Swedish army, led by the brilliant young King Charles XII, inflicted a series of humiliating defeats on Peter's forces. But Peter learned from his mistakes. He reorganized his army, drilled his soldiers in new tactics, and instilled in them a new sense of discipline. The tide turned at the Battle of Poltava in 1709. The Russian army, fighting with ferocious determination, crushed the Swedish forces in a decisive victory. Poltava was a turning point in Russian history. It shattered the myth of Swedish invincibility and announced Russia's arrival as a major military power. It secured Peter's hold on the Baltic and paved the way for the creation of the Russian Empire. Peter the Great died in 1725, leaving behind a transformed Russia. He had dragged his nation into the modern world expanding its borders, building a powerful military, and creating a new capital city that stood as a symbol of his ambition. His reforms were not without their critics. Some argued that he had gone too far, that he had sacrificed too much of Russia's soul in his pursuit of westernization. But there was no denying the impact of his reign. Peter had laid the foundation for a new Russia, a Russia that would become a major player on the world stage. He left behind a legacy of modernization and expansion, a legacy that would shape the destiny of Russia for centuries to come. Peter the Great's reign marked a turning point in Russian history, but it was only the beginning of the Romanov dynasty's long and tumultuous journey. The story of the Romanovs is a story of ambition, of intrigue, of love and betrayal, of triumphs and tragedies. It is a story that spans 3 centuries and encompasses some of the most fascinating figures in history. From Peter's successors, who struggled to live up to his legacy, to the tragic fate of Nicholas II and his family, the Romanov story is a captivating window into the heart of Russian history. Their story is a reminder that power is a double-edged sword, capable of great good and terrible destruction. It is a story that continues to fascinate and resonate today, centuries after the last Romanov Tsar met his end.